Welcome to episode 170 of the Lone Hockey Podcast, where today we're going to be talking about some standouts in the matchup on December 23rd between San Jose and Vancouver. And so it was the first time that Macklin Celebrini was playing in Vancouver, and obviously really intriguing matchup given the fact that you have Celebrini there, but at the same time, it was a back and forth game. And the Sharks, with Celebrini back and healthy from injury now, they've had a little bit of stretch where they've been able to win a little bit more with him. And granted, because he's playing with better wingers, he's able to produce. He's been producing really well, and he's really, I would say now, uh, I don't remember if it was a couple of weeks ago when I said that Matvei Michkov was the clear front runner for the Calder Trophy. Now, I would say the top three guys for that race have to be Michkov, Lane Hudson, and then you have to throw Celebrini in that mix just because of how well he's played. And ever since returning from injury, they've been able to win some games and get out of being a bottom feeder team. So with Celebrini, you're getting obviously an elite player, but just the fact that he's able to give more of a lift to the team is really impressive in that sense. But anyway, so we'll start with some standouts with San Jose. And of course, Macklin Celebrini, who else? Two assists and just was making plays, creating volume on his shots. He was creating volume on his playmaking. Like a very involved playmaker in the sense of how he can pass pucks, how he can make plays cross team, how he can make diagonal plays. Just a very skilled passer. And at the same time, his shooting ability is also unbelievable. He's so skilled as a shooter, and he's so talented when he's shooting the puck on his stick every time that he has it. And so with Celebrini, you're getting a guy who's very versatile in that sense where he can shoot, he can also pass, and he can just find different ways to be able to manage the game tempo and manage the flow of the game through his playmaking sense. So really skilled, obviously very fun to watch, and two assists the other night, which was awesome for him in Vancouver. Cody Ceci had one goal. Like it's interesting with him, more of a shutdown style defenseman ever since he was acquired in the offseason from Edmonton. And a guy you can rely upon as a defensive style defenseman. Analytically speaking, he's not the best defensively. That's what they got him for. That's where they acquired him for, but he's not really that in that sense. So it's really interesting with him. But on occasion, and I remember there were stages early on in his career with Ottawa where he would have some offensive upside to his game. And I would say for him, he's not a bad offensive guy when he can contribute. It's just more a matter of he needs to contribute consistently at even strength and be a play driver at even strength consistently. It's hard when you're on a team like San Jose who doesn't have a ton of offense. And in tandem with that, they don't have a ton of offense and barely any offense from their back end as well. But with CC, he played really well the other night. I noticed him in transition off the rush, his ability to activate, and he's got a little bit of heavy feet. But what I really liked was his heads up awareness, his ability to control space that way, and at the same time, controlling entries on situations like that, and being able to control the offensive blue line. He's got the benefit to him being heavier in a sense, not in a bad way, but heavier in the sense of how he can really create downforce on his shots. So when he weight transfers to his shots and he's able to release with power and he's able to create slap shots with power through that downforce ability. So that really helps him there. He was really good. William Eklund, I've been a really big fan of his game throughout the season thus far. It's been more of a coming out party for him this year. He's been excellent and he's been as described ever since he was drafted super high. I still remember watching him in the 2021 NHL draft. I'm like, how could this guy not go in the top five? He's skilled enough to go in the top five. He could have even went top four, top three in my eyes because just so skilled. He had that all around ability at the same time. And it'll be interesting to see if the Sharks, if they do try and go for his brother Victor Eklund, who's also from Djurgården, up for this draft this year, who I believe at the time William was still playing in the SHL, and I know now they got delegated, so it's going to be an interesting situation with that. But at the same time, getting a little sidetracked. Anyway, William was really good as a passer, as a playmaker, and his ability to create all-around situations, and just very involved offensively, very creative. He's got that playmaking flair within his feet and his hands simultaneously. He gives a little bit of Patrick Kane vibes. I don't want to say full on Patrick Kane, but I get a little bit of Patrick Kane vibes when I watch him play, just through the offensive creativity, the sense, the hands, the feet, that type of thing. I don't necessarily full on notice him as Patrick Kane quite yet, but he's certainly got a ton of talent that is somewhat reminiscent of that. Oh, Granlund, I've really liked his game as well. He's been a point per game guy for them. He's been very consistent ever since joining San Jose last year, and really good acquisition when you look back at the Erik Karlsson trade and what they got for him. Granlund was a guy who was kind of a throw-in at the time, but now he's really turned into the player that he was back in Minnesota. I feel like that's what Mike Grier was trying to bet on when acquiring him, and it's worked out really well for them. They essentially have a top line scorer on their team right now by acquiring him. And of course, you get some other assets from that deal, but he's just been dynamite ever since coming over. He's been so fun to watch. And speaking of guys who have come over and after being acquired, Fabian Zetterlund and Yaroslav Askarov. Yaroslav Askarov, since being acquired from Nashville, has been really good. Fabian Zetterlund, since being acquired from New Jersey in the Timo Meier deal, has also been really good. I like those two a lot. I feel like Askarov, he's going to be playing a lot more games throughout the rest of the year. He's been so good and he's been so fun to watch in net. He's a guy who, positionally speaking, very mature in his reads, very mature in his cross seam reads, and he's got a poise and a confidence to him that really allows the rest of the team to stay calm and be able to let their D trust him. So he's really good and he's fun to watch. And it's not often you see goalies and you say about goalies, oh, this is a fun goalie to watch because you don't necessarily say that about goalies. You say that about forwards, you say that about defensemen because they're always involved in the play. But goalies, they're just standing in the crease most of the time, if not all the game. So, but at Skarov, you get the fun excitement out of his saves and his ability to use his glove, his ability to shut down angles, his ability to make flashy saves when needed. Like there's a lot of elements that make him somewhat fun to watch in my eyes. And I enjoy watching him. So he's exciting to watch. And then one more I wanted to touch on, Nikolai Kovalenko, since being acquired from Colorado, has been a really good fit for them. He's been awesome, to say the least. I feel like there's so much in his game and so much more potential in his game and it'll be interesting to see if he sticks with them throughout the rest of the season and beyond. And obviously, some of the Russians and some players in recent years have left San Jose, but at the same time, there's still potential for Kovalenko to stay and be able to potentially be an even better player in San Jose down the line. So he was really good, really fun to watch. And then Vancouver side, of course, we have to talk about Quinn Hughes, like the anchor of this team. When you think Vancouver, you think Quinn Hughes now, especially ever since he won the Norris. You don't really think of many other players. You might think of Pedersen, you might think of JT Miller, you might think of Besser, but usually the guy that is at the top of people's list when it comes to Vancouver and thinking about Vancouver is Quinn Hughes, and it doesn't even come close. He's just that good. He's that talented. He's so dynamic with the puck on his stick, so dynamic off the puck too with his movement and his reads. I've just become so fascinated by his development, by his game, by his trajectory. I honestly, when I saw him get drafted back in, what was it, 2018 now, I would not have expected for him to become this top notch of a defenseman. Don't get me wrong, I had somewhat of a knowledge of how good he could be. I didn't realize he could be a 90 plus point scoring defenseman, honestly. I knew, and once I saw him grow year by year, I'm like, okay, this guy's going to continue to get better and continue to grow into a number one defenseman. And he's done that. And he's fun to watch. But yeah, like I said before, when he was drafted, I would have honestly never expected to hit him or for him to hit somewhere around 90, 100 plus points a year. It's just unbelievable. It's so fun to watch. It makes Vancouver fun to watch because you have a marquee number one defenseman who's able to be an anchor and is also your captain. So at the same time, it's like the best of both worlds because they have a lot of good forwards who could fit that role as captain. Pedersen, Miller, kind of ironic how I mentioned those two together. Anyway, but Besser and I might be missing some names in there, but there's a couple guys up front in Vancouver who are just, they could be captain like material, and it's just more a matter of how good Quinn Hughes is, how talented he is, and how good of a leader he is as well. So that's really good to see. And Elias Pettersson, 2 goals in this game, 4 shots, just dynamic as a scorer, and he's really evolved his goal scoring and his playmaking over time. I remember there was a time where he's kind of stagnating off early on in his career. He was like 60 points, 60 points, 60 points, somewhere around there. And it was like, when is this guy going to take the next step? But ever since that point, he's just continuing to get better and better and better. And he hit around 90 points one season. I don't remember if it was last season or the year before. I believe last season might have been around 100. I don't recall offhand right now. But Pedersen, very skilled, very dynamic two-way player who can control both sides of the puck. And he's really skilled in transition. He's really skilled on entry play. He's really skilled at being able to support pucks. I love watching him play. He's so exciting to watch. Teddy Bluger was really good. Jake DeBrusk was really good. Vincent Desharnais was really good. One guy I actually really want to talk about who was with Rick Tocchet actually in Arizona before. Now he's in Vancouver. Is Connor Garland. I really like Connor Garland's game. I really, really wonder if he's going to get traded at some point because of the fact that Vancouver, they're getting closer and closer to the cap. And it's going to be more a matter of who they're going to be able to trade off to try and free some space up. But Connor Garland has just been unbelievable this year. He's so exciting to watch. He's on a term-friendly deal. He is AAV is team friendly as well. And then you look at his actual skill, playmaking, the raw playmaking is really, really fun to watch, especially in small areas. How he's able to handle pucks, how he's able to maneuver guys. And he's really skilled at playing on his toes and playing with his feet. So he can beat bigger guys and really spin off bigger guys in terms of check situations in the corners and half wall situations really well. I like watching him. I feel like he could be a guy at some point that the Canucks do trade because they might have to free up some space for other guys in the future. But with him, it's so fun to watch. He's a slick little water bug, I guess you can call him out there, and he's just got a lot of different skill in his game that allows him to be able to control pressure and control many different situations with ease as well.